Have you ever found yourself craving a short stack of pancakes and you're a little short on time, or you just can't make it down to the diner, paycheck doesn't come until next week? Well, I'm going to show you how to make such an easy, simple homemade pancake mix with 5 or 6 very simple ingredients, easy to measure out, that's going to give you wonderful pancakes each and every time, down to a single serving. Because I'm Curtis, this is Self-Serving Skillet, and I've done the hard math for you so that you can have simple solutions to your pancake problems. So ever since my very first video, which dropped 4 years ago today, Leap Day 2020, so happy Leap Day everybody, it was how to make a single serving of pancakes. That video is going to live on my Patreon channel, free for everybody. That's just where it's going to be. Every time I made the single order of pancakes off of that video, since then, I've thought, man, this would be so much easier if I had just made the mix to start with. So today, for the 4-year anniversary of Self-Serving Skillet, we're making pancake mix from scratch. We're going to control all of our elements. We're going to know exactly what's in it, and we're going to be able to tailor it to ourselves. So we're going to start off with 6 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, I have my scale here, and I'm going to measure out in weight, so it's going to be 720 grams of flour. And if you want to know more about weights and measures, I did a Technique Tuesday. there's a cup in here. Way to go, Curtis. I did a Technique Tuesday about weights and measures. In fact, I did 2 separate, one for weights and one for measures. And I will link one of those videos at the end. And from here, it's very simple, and I'm just going to switch from weights to volume measurements, because you notice at the end there I went pretty slow. I had to hurry up and then be careful. Well, I can't do that with small amounts of measurements, so I'm just going to measure out 3 big spoons of sugar. This is cane sugar, but you can really use any sweetener that measures the same as sugar. We could also decrease this amount by a tablespoon at a time, or increase it by a tablespoon at a time to mirror your taste. And 1 of baking powder, not baking soda, this is baking powder. And the difference between the two, we're going to use both. The difference between the two is that baking powder reacts to heat. Baking soda reacts to acid. Little spoon baking soda, little spoon salt. And I'm using table salt here. I have my kosher salt that I used to cook with all the time. Don't want to use that. It's too big. All right, it's just going to sink to the bottom. We want this to be as uniform as possible. And that's it. We're just going to mix this up and combine all of these ingredients. And how long is this pancake mix going to last? Well, you're going to look on your baking soda and your baking powder and your flour. Salt and sugar should be good for a lot longer. And you're going to go with the nearest date. So we have our mix. What do we do after we have our mix? Well, ideally, we start on this part beforehand. Some people just want the title of the video information to come first so they don't have to see all the organization. And I don't know how those people do anything. Now, for every cup of mix, we're going to go with 3/4 cup of milk. Now, this is adjustable according to your taste. This will give you a thick, rich, fluffy, yet firm pancake. If you want your pancakes a little bit thinner, try adding a big spoon of milk at a time until you get the consistency that you want. Usually, half a lemon does the trick. I want about a big spoon of lemon juice. That's already starting to sour, I can see it, but we're just gonna set it aside. I want 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 big spoons of butter. 2 go in here and get gently melted on the stove. While we're waiting for our butter to melt, or we can see that the milk is getting nicely jiggly. It is acidifying. Now, this is not buttermilk. This is acidified milk that is meant to make our baking soda rise. Buttermilk is acidic, and that's why it works. So once it's jiggly, once it's nice and jiggly, we're going to introduce sort of the birth of self-serving skillet. Is the egg. Give me an egg, and I'll build you an empire. Give me half an egg, I'll make you some pancakes. Now, how do we get to half an egg? Well, let me tell you a story here. When I was starting self-serving skillet, I was trying to divide down to the least common denominator, down to the ingredient that you just couldn't separate. And I always got stopped at the egg, but the egg always made too many pancakes for me, for just the one guy. I lived very alone at the time. So I thought to myself, how can I separate an egg? Well, I started making scrambled eggs with my pancakes. And then eventually I would make fried rice later in the day. But anyway, half an egg, which if you're doing a bunch of these, just measure out 2 big spoons of egg, or an eighth of a cup. And I want to get that nice and incorporated into the milk before I get my butter in there, because we warmed it gently, but it's still warm. So I don't want that to scramble the eggs. I'm going to get it in slow and stir constantly until it is well and incorporated. And if you're feeling frisky, maybe a little spoon of vanilla extract. Notice that I stirred this really good and I stirred this really good, because we're almost done with stirring. We are more going to fold in and combine. 1 cup makes one batch, or 1 serving. When you make this, you want to make it lumpy. You only want to stir until there are no more dry streaks. You can't really see anything as being definitely the mix. Now, this is going to make about 3 really decent sized pancakes for me. What I like to do is pour 1 over here and 1 over here and leave a space in the middle for some flipping action. So I will be coming back for 1 cake. Now, if you don't have this, if you don't have an electric griddle or something that lays out nicely like this, another thing that I like to use is this cast iron sheet, but I like it more for the gas stove I used to have because it laid on the burners really nice. These, they're a weird shape, and it doesn't quite work for me with this stove. So I like this. Last time I made the pancake video, I used a skillet with high sides, but it was okay because it was big enough where I could get the spatula in, lay it flat, and turn. What you don't want is something small with high sides. You're not going to be able to get down under that pancake, and you're going to smush it on the way up. All right, butter down. I like to wait until the butter is bubbling but not yet brown, and then I'm just going to eyeball about 1/3 of this. Now, that baking soda already made these nice and fluffy, so I'm going to do my best not to disturb the pancake as I pour it out. I'm going to go nice and slow, and then because it has a tendency to roll one way, I'm going to twist the other. This will lay flat when you give it a chance. Just let it go, let it relax into space. You're going to see bubbles around the edges first. And those bubbles are going to slowly creep towards the middle, and once you see a couple bubbles form and then pop in the middle, that's a sign that your baking powder is working. Baking powder reacts to heat, baking soda reacts to acid. And since the first one is always a test anyway, right, this side is much more done than this side, you can put just a couple tablespoons of batter on your griddle right away to see what you're doing. See, now I'm having to turn down the heat. Everything's fine. It's just a dance with you and your pancakes. Beautiful stack of homemade, not quite buttermilk pancakes. Gonna hit those with a little maple syrup. In my original video, I talked about how I like sort of like a fruit preserve on my pancakes instead of maple syrup. This looks better for the thumbnail. So executive decision there. Let's dig in, man. These look and smell amazing. Nice fluff to them. Nice and crispy on the outside and fluffy and moist on the inside. It's a beautiful pancake. It tastes really good, tastes really fresh. I know exactly what's in it, and I have the technology to make them one batch at a time every day of the week if I want to. Get in the kitchen, make yourself something amazing. I'll see you next time, guys. Oh, hey, buddy. You're stealing my seat. You want to come up and say hi to everyone? Come here. In case you're wondering about the past couple months, I made a video that I'm dropping at the exact same time as this video, and I'm going to throw it up right here. Go check that out next if you'd like to know what I've been up to, why it's been so long between videos. Get in the kitchen and make yourself something amazing. Let your hunger be your inspiration. And always remember to spay and neuter your pets to control the pet population.